Alright, so this one is for Shrapnel. Basic build, everyone's running this, so I'm sure you already know, but we're using the SOCR. This is a SCAR. I run mine with Shrapnel Smash. We're going to be doing a lot of crit stuff here for the Shrapnel, and we want that all to pair together to get as much damage as possible. So Shrapnel Smash will allow us to get that 20% crit rate on our Shrapnel, and I have one that has trigger chance, Shrapnel damage, and crit damage for the Shrapnel. Really good overall. Try to roll for something like this that has the Shrapnel modifications rather than crit, because this is focusing on the crit of Shrapnel, not on the crit value itself. For accessories, you can run whatever you'd like to. I run stability because I don't like to have to move my mouse around to keep my recoil. And the ammo is a tungsten rifle AP bullet for our testing purposes. I don't use legendary ammo unless I'm running Leah solo. So that's that one. We're going to pair it with the DE50 Wildfire. You can also pair this with the Bingo if you want to, or you could pull it with the Doombringer. We're just looking for that mark. But the Wildfire has some interesting perks that's going to mix together with what we're doing here. So number one, if you're fighting a boss by itself, you get a 25% weapon bonus for using this on them. That's if you're multiple enemies, it's going to spread. But if it doesn't, you get that weapon damage plus 25% for 10 seconds. On top of that, hitting a weak spot, which we're going to open with our pistol, is going to give us 9% extra damage for 10 seconds once we get it fully stacked. And that's going to pair together with something we have in our cradle as well. We're currently using the long axe because this still works. This gets us a chunk of extra damage from Fortress Warfare. When they fix this, I'm going to come up with something else, but for right now, we're using the long axe in an animation cancel in order to proc Fortress Warfare. Okay? I'll go over how to do that in just a second. Our armor, of course, we're running Beret. If I had the gas-sealed mask, I would recommend using that one. That's the fireman-looking gas mask. I don't. So I run the Beret, best in slot aside from that one. On the Beret, we're running Momentum Up. This one's going to take you by surprise, but this gives you more damage than people think, and it applies to your Shrapnel too. So the fire rate, 10% for the first 50, that's fine, but then you get 30% extra damage for the second half of the magazine. All of that, the crit, the Shrapnel explosions itself, and your weapon damage is going to go up just because you have this on. So huge, in my opinion. I'm running, where's my second Falcon piece? I'm so sorry. We're going to have Falcon piece on, and that's going to give us crit damage plus 12%. I know I said that crit isn't the main focus of this build, but 12% on crits that we're going to be getting anyway is just flat damage that we have. We then run 3-piece Bastille set, which is also going to take you by surprise. Most people do the Lone Shadow so they can move around. If you prep for your damage, this is how you can get disgusting amounts of damage, and that's from the 3-piece set. Staying crouched gives you Bastille. Bastille gives you 40% weapon damage. That's just massive for sitting still for half a second, right? Along with that, we're running Falcon for that 12% crit damage, and then Beret, right? So going back to our mods on the Falcon, we are running Most Wanted, and this pairs with our Deagle. Every time that it's marked, you get 5% bonus damage, right? And that's attack plus 5%, so that applies to everything that you're doing damage-wise. We are going to be shooting them 3 times with our pistol anyway, so this just pairs perfectly with it for a flat 15% buff. Here, we're running crit rate, naturally. If we're going to be critting with Shrapnel, we're going to be critting anyway, so we put this on here. I like magazine capacity because that pulls in with momentum, and then reload so we can keep everything going. Onto our boots. On the boots, we're running Bastille naturally. We are going to do covered advance. No damage, 20% damage for 30 seconds. So as you can find cover for seconds, you're good to go for 30 seconds of 20, what is that? Yeah, 20% extra damage. Right after that, we're doing Bastille again. You can choose whatever you want for this. If you want to do that blue mod, which I don't believe I have, or I do, it's right here. Let's put that on just for the sake of this video, but I like to run defensive mods. But putting this on, you can get an extra % crit rate and crit damage. Mine rolled with magazine. I believe you can also roll it with crit or weapon damage here. I'm actually going to keep this off. I'm going to keep it the way that I like it because this has some good perks on it with the 15% crit damage and 3.6% weapon damage. Obviously, those are random rolls. But I like this one. When things get close to me, I take less damage. I find that the melee hitters hit harder than anything else in the game, so that helps me out there. The very last one is our pants, and that is going to be once again Bastille. and we're going for Deadshot, and this is going for crit again. We're focusing on that crit shrapnel, but you will be getting those crits regardless. You can swap off on the helmet if you want to. Instead of using this, you'll notice Momentum Up will get you more damage. It just does. I've done the testing. Momentum Up is the one with more damage, but you can also run Fateful Strike so that you don't have to aim for the head. You'll get more crit percent and you'll get more crit damage, right? I'll show both of these so you can compare them side by side, but that's what we're going to be doing here. Into our cradle, I don't have it set up, so let's set it up together. We already have automatic and handgun together, and we always want to have Deviation Master. This is super important when you're fighting Great Ones. It's 50% damage when you whip your Deviant out, okay? We're going to run Tactical Combo because we're going to start with our pistol and swap, so we're going to get that 25% bonus damage, and then when we reload, which is going to be in our rotations, you keep that damage buff, right? Let's take off our status stuff I was running earlier. We are going to put on Deadly Combo to get an additional 25% after we trigger a bullet effect. We're going to put on Steady Hand because we're going to be proccing Fortress Warfare by using that animation cancel, and that's going to get us 40% plus 20% because we're going to be hitting in the head and we're using Bullseye. Run Tracking Bullet, extra shrap damage, extra shrap crit damage. If we kill something, this is not going to apply to the dummy, but it comes in handy. You kill something and then the next one dies even faster. And the same thing here, if you mark that unit first and then kill it, it's 25% weapon damage and weak spot percent damage, 35%, 15 seconds. So these two I cannot show you in the damage testing, but all of that does get applied when you do it later, okay? I'm going to do this first test without doing any food, but you already know that canned meat is for shrapnel. We're going to use that. I'll show it to you in a second. But the rotation looks like this. We're going to whip out our Deviant halfway through, which is the Wolf's Hound, to get that bonus flat weapon percent damage that we have. I think it's best in slot. Some people could run the Butterfly if you're going to aim for the head and not use the weak point modifier, and that's fine too. I just like the dog. So we're going to whip out the dog when we swap to our SCAR so that all of the rotation works together. Again, we're going to animation cancel our long axe by right-clicking and then swapping to our pistol at the apex of the swing. So we load it up and then swap, and the Fortress Warfare will still come up on the ground, you see? Fortress Warfare is this little thing here. As long as you stay within the blue, you get that bonus. It's only going to last for our first clip, so if you want to keep maximum uptime, you have to keep proccing it, and we're just going to leave that out for this testing, okay? So, once again, we're going to whip out, animation cancel, crouch for Bastille, 1, 2, 3, swap, aim down sights, and shoot. And that's 51K DPS for the first one. 45K for the second, and 41 for the last, for a total of 770,000 damage for our SCAR by itself. Now, we are going to apply our canned buff, and then we are going to apply our Deviant, and we're going to look at the damage numbers there. So canned meat here is super easy to make. If you have the kitchen set Gourmand, you're going to get additional 30%. If you have a friend, definitely make them make this for you. This is going to boost our shrapnel damage by 20%. Get that extra 30% applied to the 20%, so it's not like an extra 30% on top of it. You have to do the math there. I'm definitely not going to do the math for it, but believe me, it does help. You can get a canned goods thing, so you can make 2 of these instead of 1 every time. Really easy. Shrapnel food is the easiest to make in the game. So we are going to, again, rotation is animation cancel on the long axe, crouch, pistol 3 times, swap to SCAR, pull out Deviant, unload, and it looks a little something like this. Okay, 901,000 for our total. DPS was rocking around 39 to 47K. You can additionally set that up if you get the rotation right with extra enemy killed to like 56 to 60K DPS, and I currently think that's the highest damage number you can get in the game. Thanks for checking in. See you next time. Bye-bye.